Right now at 6, a new group is looking to address healthcare shortages in the Chippewa Valley following the news that 2 hospitals and multiple clinics are set to close.
And it's Super Tuesday. Voters in Minnesota are heading to the polls to cast their ballot for the state's presidential primary.
You're watching WKBT La Crosse. This is News 8 Now at 6.
Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us for News 8 Now at 6. I'm Ken Kozarowski.
And I'm Emily Brown. Two Rivers police have identified a car of interest in the investigation of a missing 3-year-old boy. Elijah Vu has been missing since February 20th. He was last seen under the care of Jesse Vang, a man who is in a relationship with Elijah's mother, Katrina Bauer. In a Facebook post Monday, Two Rivers police identified a car of interest, a beige 1997 4-door Nissan Altima. It has a Wisconsin license plate that starts with A and ends with a 0. Law enforcement is in possession of the vehicle. They are asking anyone with security cameras to review any footage taken on February 19th between 2 p.m. and 9 p.m. If you have video that may help in the investigation, there is a link to upload it to the Wisconsin DOJ on our website. Both Bauer and Vang have been charged with felony child neglect.
A Tomah police canine is dead following a traffic accident while on duty. Tomah PD says canine Raiden was on duty Monday night east of the Tomah city limits. He was relieving himself in an outdoor area when he ran onto Highway 1216 and was hit by a vehicle. He was taken to a veterinary hospital in the Madison area where he later died.
More trouble for a Wisconsin prison. Another inmate was found dead at Waupun Correctional Institution. Donald Mayer, age 62, died on February 22nd inside the prison. His cause of death is still under investigation. This is the 4th inmate death in the past 8 months at Waupun. A group of Waupun inmates filed a federal lawsuit last October claiming lockdown conditions were congruent with cruel and unusual punishment. Lockdowns were put into place last year due to a shortage of guards.
Today is Super Tuesday, and millions of voters across the country are heading to the polls to vote in the presidential primary, including voters in Minnesota.
News 8 Now's Jeremy Wall is live in La Crescent with a look at what's at stake for the candidates in the Gopher State. Jeremy.
Well, Emily, Minnesota is one of multiple states having a primary today, and people in the state are voting for multiple people up for grabs, including 39 Republican and 75 Democratic delegates. Donald Trump, the Republican frontrunner, needs 1,215 to secure his party's nomination compared to 1,968 for incumbent Democrat Joe Biden, making states like Texas and California higher priorities than Minnesota. Still, voters I spoke to here in La Crescent tell me getting out and voting today is critical.
Kind of sets up for November and gets a strong. Idea of who's gonna be on that ballot come November.
Well, when you see what is currently under discussion, when you see how some of our candidates comport themselves, I think they are not really caring that much for our Constitution.
Now, polls in Minnesota, including this one here in La Crescent behind me, close at 8 p.m. So as long as you're in line, guys, by then you'll be able to vote. We'll have results online. For now, live in La Crescent, Jeremy Wall, News 8 Now.
All right, thank you, Jeremy.
A new cooperative hopes to address gaps in health care coverage left by the future closure of HSHS hospitals and Prevea clinics in the Chippewa Valley region. The creation of the Chippewa Valley Health Conservative was formally announced this afternoon. 7 people from the area will form and serve on the initial board of organizers for the co-op, and it's supported by 1,100 partners. It's a firm hired by Oakleaf Medical Networks. HSHS is set to close its facilities in the Chippewa Valley no later than April 21st. You can find the cooperative's full announcement on all of our digital platforms.
Some local area burn bans are being lifted. The burn ban for the city of La Crosse and the town of Madary is now lifted, and so are the bans in both Onalaska and Vernon County. In an update this morning, the La Crosse Fire Department said the decision is based on recent rain and the state's DNR saying the fire danger is at low levels. The fire department will reinstate the bans if fire danger is considered at a high level again.
We saw some rain earlier this week. Things have gotten a little bit more mild. Still a little potential for some of that precip to come back later this week, Greg.
Yeah, we got another system that'll be coming here, but in the meantime, we still got mild conditions for at least the next couple days and dry conditions also. So today, once again, we got into the 50s. Overall, we're still in the 40s for both locations with a few high clouds out there. Current temperatures across the region are from the upper 30s to the north to still to the low 50s as you go further south towards Prairie du Chien and Boswell. All in all, well above average. Overall highs were generally in the 50s, even mid-50s further south, and yes, that is well above average, about 10 to 15, but not as much because our averages are starting to come up here as we approach now the middle of March here. Overall, the system to the south, that's the one that produced the precipitation. The one to the north, that one's going to provide some more cloud cover for us, but that's about it for the next several days, is more clouds as we go through Thursday and eventually, Wednesday and eventually Thursday. But for this evening, really mild conditions, once again pleasant. It was get down to the mid-30s for La Crosse with very light east winds. Same story for Eau Claire. Another pleasant evening with temperatures getting close to freezing as we approach 11 p.m. Coming up later, we'll kind of break down when that rain is going to come, what we look like for the weekend, and if you want 60s, maybe 70, might come back next week. We'll break that down a bit later.
I think we want it,
Yeah,
right?
I like the sound of that for sure. Thanks, Greg. Well, say cheese. The 2024 World Championship Cheese Contest is officially underway in Madison. Now through Thursday, judges will evaluate more than 3,300 cheese, yogurt, butter, and dry dairy products. The Wisconsin Cheesemakers Association has held this event every other year since 1957. And while there's no cash prize for making the best cheese, it's the bragging rights that the cheese producers come for.
This has made companies from the bottom up. When you win a gold medal in this contest, the orders come in.
Preliminary rounds of judging continue Wednesday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. and it's all open to the public for free. The world champion cheese will be announced Thursday during a public live stream at 2 p.m.
A good way to get a taste of Wisconsin.
Absolutely.
The Supreme Court has blocked a new Texas immigration law from going into effect.
That law would have given state officials the power to arrest migrants who cross into Texas illegally.
The Supreme Court has temporarily blocked a tough new immigration law in Texas from taking effect today. The law gives state officials the power to arrest migrants who cross into Texas illegally. The Biden administration argues that that is the federal government's job.
Illegal crossings at the southern border hit a record high last year. Omar Villafranca reports on the enforcement showdown between Texas and federal officials.
The goal of Senate Bill 4 is to stop the tidal wave of illegal entry into Texas.
That was Texas Governor Greg Abbott in December as he signed SB 4 into law. The bill, which was set to go into effect today, would allow state law enforcement to arrest migrants for illegal border crossings and Texas judges to order migrants to either return to Mexico or serve jail time.
We're not imposing a Texas border policy. Texas very simply is enforcing the laws that are the policy of the United States Congress.
In a recent interview with 60 Minutes, Abbott insisted SB 4 does not overstep the federal government. But last week, a Texas district judge blocked the law, arguing that it violates the Constitution's supremacy clause and conflicts with key provisions of federal immigration law. Texas's Attorney General appealed the ruling, and over the weekend, a federal court granted the state a temporary stay. And Monday, at the Justice Department's urging, the Supreme Court stepped in to stop SB 4 from taking effect, with Justice Samuel Alito giving Texas until March 11th to file a response.
We need a lot of help.
Back in December, we met Maverick County Sheriff Tom Schmerber in Eagle Pass, 2 days after Abbott signed SB 4 into law. Schmerber told us he was concerned about enforcing it.
Is that work that your sheriff deputies can do? Do you want to do it?
We don't want to do it, and it's going to be impossible. I don't have the manpower nor the space. Comes March, if we have to do it, I don't know how.
Omar Villafranca, CBS News.
Egyptian officials say 3 days of ceasefire negotiations with Hamas ended today without a breakthrough, less than a week before the holy month of Ramadan, the informal deadline for a deal.
Israeli diplomats have so far stayed away from the talks as the war rages on.
With the clock ticking, Israeli War Cabinet Minister Benny Gantz, a rival of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, wrapped up meetings in Washington with U.S. leaders, including Secretary of State Antony Blinken. In Gaza, the United Nations is warning about possible mass starvation. The U.S. is dropping more aid into the territory, but aid groups say it's nowhere near enough.
This man asks, is there a father in the world who can watch his children writhing in hunger and stay silent?
In Israel, there's new fear for the estimated 100 hostages Hamas is holding. The UN released a report revealing there are reasonable grounds to believe militants sexually assaulted women on October 7th and that the abuse of hostages is ongoing. Israel's military says it won't place any limits on the amount of humanitarian aid entering Gaza, but aid groups again say ongoing hostilities are severely hampering the distribution.
People aren't the only ones impacted by secondhand smoke.
New research finds that dogs are at a higher risk of cancer if they're exposed to smoke in their home.
And as we approach daylight savings time, we're looking at another round of wet weather to end the week, but the weekend looks dry, and we even got 60s and maybe a 70 in the forecast. I'll break that all down coming up on your First Warn Weather Update after the break.
Thank you for watching News 8 Now. Expect more.
Well, if you need another reason to quit smoking, here it is.
Secondhand smoke isn't just bad for the people around you. It could also put your dog at greater risk for cancer.
That's according to a recent study published to the Veterinary Journal. The researchers study Scottish Terriers exposed to cigarette smoke at home. They picked that specific breed because Scotties have a very high rate of bladder cancer compared to other breeds. The study found that being exposed to cigarette smoke at home made Scotties 6 times as likely to develop bladder cancer. Experts recommend quitting smoking, smoking outside, and changing out of smoky clothing before getting close to your dog.
Eating well does not offset the negative effects of poor sleep. That's according to a new study published today in the journal JAMA Network Open. Researchers looked at health outcomes for more than 500,000 people between the ages of 40 and 69. It found that those who slept for fewer than 6 hours were nearly twice as likely to develop type 2 diabetes. That risk did not improve for those with the healthiest diets. Experts say the findings confirm a link between poor sleep and diabetes, not a cause and effect relationship. In order to get enough rest, they recommend establishing a consistent sleep schedule, a wind-down ritual like a warm bath or shower, and reading a book instead of scrolling through social media. People at risk should also avoid caffeine and alcohol before turning in.
Well, it was definitely sleeping weather yesterday with the rain.
Yeah, a little dreary, yeah.
Yeah, and then today was get up and go get things done. The energy from the sun and the weather was really nice, wasn't it?
It was a nice return to those mild conditions, and a little bit more of the same in the next couple of days, Greg.
Yep.
Yeah, we're looking at least another 2 days of nice dry conditions and mild, and we will have some wet weather that'll be coming. But tomorrow, more 50s, more cloud cover to take place. We have 50s more Thursday. Could be a few spots that get 60. Otherwise, behind this system will be probably the coolest day of the 8-day stretch. Will be Friday, 30s and 40s, and the weekend looks back in the 40s and 50s. Our average temperature should be around 40 at that point. And next week, as I mentioned, 60s and potentially a 70. Depends on things play out. Precipitation dry. We have that system coming. It looks like it's Thursday night, but more late Thursday night through Friday. There could be a wintry mix with this. It depends on how it plays out. And otherwise, the weekend looks dry, and that goes into the first half of next week, too. Overnight, we might see a little bit of a low cloud deck that forms in some of the areas, especially south. It should burn off pretty close to the morning commute. Otherwise, most of the areas to the north of La Crosse, too, should be clear as you wake up. 20s, low 20s, maybe some teens in the coldest locations. Overall, tomorrow we're going to see more clouds as that system out to the west lifts across the area. So more high clouds will push across the area. No precipitation expected with this as it pushes across. Should still get enough sun to get us into the upper 40s to about mid 50s depending on location. And then as we go into Wednesday night, the big difference, there'll be a lot more cloud cover going on that should keep the temperatures up as you go into Thursday morning, more in the 30s. And all that precipitation you see on there should stay well to the northwest of the area. And Thursday, it's just going to be more clouds. Temperatures about the same as Wednesday, maybe a few degrees warmer as it system to the south begins to approach the area, and that's the one that we'll be tracking right here. It looks like right now the trend is to hold the precipitation off a little bit later Thursday, probably more late Thursday night, Friday morning, and then as it pulls up, Friday still looks the best chance for rainfall, especially as you go further south and east of La Crosse. Further north of Eau Claire, probably will drop off to maybe just cloud cover Friday, and then there could be a transition going Friday night to maybe some mix even in the afternoon hours. Right now that doesn't look to be a huge confidence that we're going to see some of that snow or rain, but that is one potential Friday night into Saturday. There's also a potential going Thursday night into Friday morning, depending on what the temperatures look like when the precipitation starts. So we'll time that all right now. But once we get to Saturday, everything clears out. It does get breezy, but at least it'll be dry as we go into the weekend, and then warming right back up. Here's your temperatures as we go through Thursday. Behind the system, we're looking at still above average, but we're going to get fairly close. And then as we go to the weekend, temperatures to the west will start rebounding back to well above average. And this is a sign of things to come. For Sunday, we'll be back in the 50s, but you can see to the west, 15 to 20, 25 above. That means we will probably see the 60s coming back and potentially 70s as that warm air begins to push over to our area for the first half of next week. But for tonight, once again, a little bit of low clouds potentially in some areas. Most areas will stay mostly clear. We're seeing temperatures get down to the 20s. Coldest locations probably will get into the teens for those locations. Otherwise, tomorrow we're looking more at the 50s. Big difference would be more high clouds out there, no precipitation, but we should still see mild conditions, and those will continue as we go through Thursday. And then that Thursday night, probably likely closer to Friday morning's commute, when we'll start seeing rain potentially move into the area. And then as we go to the weekend and lose that hour of sleep in the 50s, we'll gain the temperatures back because we'll be in the 60s, potentially 70 Tuesday. We'll see how that plays out, but we'll swing back in. So really Friday's kind of the worst day of the 8-day, and otherwise it's not too bad.
Yeah, we'll take it if we get the rest of the what's ahead. Yeah,
for sure. Thanks, Greg. Coming up next in sports, one of the Brewers' top prospects continues to dazzle in spring training. Plus, 5 of our Wisconsin boys basketball teams look to keep their season alive Thursday, and West Salem will be traveling a little further than they initially thought. Rob is next.
Covering all of the exciting action from your community, here's News 8 Now Sports.
It's the calm before the storm as we count down the hours until Thursday night. 5 of our Wisconsin high school boys basketball teams are just 2 wins away from punching their ticket to Madison next week for the state tournament. Now, Cade went over the schedule yesterday, but there has been one official location change. The West Salem boys basketball team was originally scheduled to play their sectional semifinal at Logan High School on Thursday, but the Panthers, they've been moved. Their game against Fox Valley Lutheran has been moved to Wisconsin Rapids Lincoln. West Salem took down New London in the regional final on Saturday night. Panthers find themselves now just 2 wins away from getting back to Madison. That's just one of the 5 games scheduled for Thursday night in D3. GET gets a shot at redemption against Elk Mound. The Mounders got a win in Galesville during the regular season. We'll see if the Redhawks can return the favor on Thursday in Arcadia. In Division 4, Aquinas heads to Osseo Fairchild High School to take on Durand, Arkansas. And in D5, Cashton goes head-to-head with Potosi down in Prairie du Chien, while Royal hits the road to clash with Columbus Catholic at Adams Friendship High School. On the college hardwood, the Badgers are also back at it Thursday. Wisconsin with just 2 more chances left before the regular season comes to an end. Hopefully for the Badgers, this time around against Rutgers is prettier than the last time. A 22-point loss for Wisconsin on the road back in February. Rutgers controlled that one from beginning to end, but senior Tyler Wall says this team is using that loss as fuel for Thursday's rematch.
I think it shows, or it gives us a little extra motivation going into the game, and going into the game we're ready for something. Whether they're going to punch us in the mouth, they're a good, strong, physical, defensive team, so we got to be a little more prepared for that this time around. Hopefully we come out ready. Hopefully the guys get that same message, and we're not here to lose anymore. We're ready to get this thing back rolling.
Right, I love that. We'll see if the Badgers can get their 11th conference win of the season. Thursday night at home. Tip-off is at 6 on FS1. Good news if you're a Brewer fan, Jackson Churio continues to shine at the plate. The 19-year-old adding 3 more hits to his spring training resume so far. Churio going 3 for 3 this afternoon, 2 doubles. He's batting a pretty impressive .304 so far in the Cactus League. Now, guys, it's early. Season hasn't even started yet, but it's always good to start off that way. It's still, I mean, most of these guys are major leaguers.
Absolutely. So. This kid is 19 years old, and the Brewers gave him $82 million already, and like 8-year contract. So It's a lot of money up front for a guy who hasn't seen big league pitching yet.
But it could be a good thing because he could be a stud, and
Absolutely.
he could be getting a bargain
Down the
2 or
road.
3 years
Absolutely.
Who's the farm team for the Brewers?
Nashville in AAA, Biloxi in AA,
Oh, okay.
Carolina in Single A.
All
Look
right.
at this expert right here. That's why he's here.
Impressive.
2 out of 3 for sure. Thanks,
Aren't you
Rob.
impressed that I know what a farm team is, though?
Yes,
right?
well done.
Okay, we'll be right back after this.
Final word?
It's going to be nice tomorrow. There's 2 more days.
Warm.
Take it.
Warm, sunny.
We'll see you tonight.
We'll see you at 10.